Most of us want to change our physiques or build strength, but the space in which we do so causes anxiety, or it feels intimidating, or we approach it from this lens of saying, I don't even know what I'm doing, I don't feel welcome, so pass. And today I'm excited to tell you about Jake, who had that same sentiment, but now Jake is in the gym with consistency. He's enjoying lifting weights and he's getting all of the positive sensations that the gym has to offer. And Jake went from saying I'm more the artist than the athlete to now feeling good in the gym. And I'm gonna break down the two main concepts that we used for Jake from my Flex and Paint program so that you can apply these for yourself and start making progress. If you're curious, I have linked in the description and somewhere here Jake's testimonial, so he talks a little bit more about his motives and his experience with the program. But starting off, really what we did with Jake was to reshape some things around identity and then to build familiarity with lifting weights. So what does identity look like if we are trying to reshape it towards this future for ourselves where we're jacked? So you can ask yourself in a year, if I'm in great shape, what statements do I make about myself? You probably say things like, I like the gym. You probably say things like, I feel welcome in the gym. You probably say things like, I lift with consistency. Any of these statements, you can absolutely start to say now, and they become true. It's a fake it till you make it scenario, so long as you do a few things. You cast some votes, some small votes, and you rewrite the narrative with a because clause. And what does that look like? So in saying, I like the gym, you can cast a really small vote, or let's change this to lifting. I like lifting. You can cast a really small vote to say, I did one push-up, something really small. And then you can say after the fact, I like lifting because I do push-ups. Or I like lifting because it feels good afterwards. Or because I do it, yeah. Any level of statement where you're saying, I've made this narrative, I have this continuity in my brain, where if you tell yourself, I hate lifting, but you go to the gym all the time, or I don't like lifting weights, but you go to the gym all the time, you are driving yourself crazy, and that doesn't make any sense. We should try to let our brain do its thing and build that congruency in what we say and what we do. So what can we say for I feel welcome in the gym? You could make the really small vote of saying I went to the gym, didn't even have to lift, didn't have to work out, just going in there and seeing the space, and then adding that narrative of saying I feel welcome in the gym because the people at the front desk were nice, or they smiled, or I have familiar faces at the gym, or even something as simple as saying, because I go often, because I'm there. Next, we can say, I lift with consistency. To even break it to the smallest level, where you're saying, consistency might be, I did one push-up after lunch, or I did a workout twice a week. That's still some level of consistency. Really, again, it's not about doing the maximum, it's about doing the minimum level where you feel like you're satisfying this statement. You can always bump it up later. You could say, I lift heavy. Heavy for you might be 10 push-ups, it might be 100 push-ups. Really, whatever it is that you're saying, that you can cast that vote and make that alignment so your brain is like, yep, you're right, I agree with you. Do that, and then again, rewrite the narrative. So saying, I lift with consistency because I do push-ups so often. It's a slow process, but it absolutely will rewire your brain into saying, any of these statements that are true, I feel like I'm living in accordance with them, and thus they must be true. So what does building familiarity in weightlifting look like? Building familiarity, I strongly recommend that most people just start by getting themselves a small kettlebell. And basically, all you're gonna do with your kettlebell is simply pick it up and put it down. It sounds really goofy for me to tell you, yeah, you can get jacked just by like handling your kettlebells, but I strongly believe that I have positive sensations around weightlifting because I have kettlebells in my apartment and I pick them up, I lift them as much as I feel like it, and then I don't even have to like go crazy with it, I put them down. But the fact that I'm living in my sensory reality regularly, to have this alignment, to have this just base level of saying, I know what I'm doing with a weight. So picking it up and going from one room to the other truly familiarizes yourself with weightlifting. You don't have to learn how to do squats with your kettlebell. You don't have to learn how to do curls. You don't have to learn kettlebell swings or any of these complex movements right away. Just saying, I have a habit of touching this thing, this chunk of metal that I know is going to be a tool. I'm interfacing with this tool for later. Then you can slowly start to say, I have a few exercises in my repertoire. So to say, okay, I now know how it feels to curl it one time. I know how to do an overhead press in the comfort of my own home. And it's important that you do this because you are going to build out this repertoire to where if you have a small little circuit for yourself where you say, I do 30 curls, I do 30 goblet squats, I do 30 overhead press, then you can very quickly just take this entire routine and then go apply it in the gym. But how do we even get over gym familiarity in the first place? So getting in the gym, you can break down to where you can just go check it out with no intention of lifting. So don't overwhelm yourself and say, I'm gonna do this monster workout. I'm gonna like check out, figure out where all the equipment is. Don't bother doing that. Just go to the gym, see who's in there, get a lay of the land, and then leave. And once you've done that, you can, again, make these statements much more true, where you're saying, I feel welcome in the gym because I went there one time and it was cool. I didn't die, no problem. So you've alleviated any of these unknowns that might have felt so foreign to you. And then very quickly you can say, I went over and I did just one push-up in the gym. Or you could say, I went and picked up their kettlebells. And you don't feel like an imposter. You don't feel like it's foreign because you've done so much time literally handling that same weight in the comfort of your own home. Do whatever routine. It doesn't matter what you look like. You have that familiarity now because you've been doing it. Then very quickly you can start to say, okay, I'm gonna apply this routine in that space. You're also gonna have some positive social osmosis where you go in and you see, okay, I've never bench pressed before, but I can at least watch somebody do it. And I don't have to go mess with that. But because I now feel more at ease and I feel more comfortable in my routine, maybe you'll break it down again and you'll go like lay on the bench and mess with the bar and be like, yeah, cool, good enough for me. So after you've done this, I strongly encourage you go watch the video that I have on enjoying the gym, which I'll break down again in the description. But combining these two things to where you have positive identity and built familiarity, eventually you are gonna have a gym habit where you feel like you're living in accordance with that future version of yourself who is jacked, and give it a shot. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. And again, feel free to check out the testimonial that Jake had for Flex and Paint. And I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if there's anything else that I can help you out with, and have a good night.